the Supreme Court is the only route. I mean, this
he
is a
can't
question.
appeal the Colorado Supreme Court decision
Well,
at
he
the
can
level
appeal
of
it.
the Colorado Supreme Court.
No, that's the highest court in Colorado. So the next, it's not like New York where we have the Supreme Court is the middle court. He has to go to the Supreme Court. And, the justices here on the Colorado Supreme Court knew what was going to happen because they gave him enough time to appeal to the Supreme Court. And also the language in this more than 200-page opinion was full of terms about how they know how significant this is. They know it's unprecedented. And, it's going to be in the Supreme Court's hands whether or not to take the case, which most people I've spoken to say there's really almost no choice. The Supreme Court has to take the case because, otherwise what will happen in different states across the country are going to have some states like Minnesota, the Supreme Court there said, no, this doesn't apply. Any party member, any party can put whoever they want on the primary ballot. So what's going to happen with the primaries? What's going to happen with the election itself? So I think that all bets are the Supreme Court will take the case.
And Jodi, you mentioned this about the GOP and candidates that Trump is running against standing with him. Is there a route that this would play into his hands in any way?
Well, I think certainly the former president is very good at taking things that happen outside the political arena, for instance, in the courts and with his indictments and charges, and turning it into part of his narrative. And the narrative is the Democrats are afraid of him and they don't want him to be the candidate. And some in his own party don't want him to be the candidate because he could win, and they know that. And he will certainly make this case or try to make this case with this as well. Again, because this is the narrative that they are against me, they are victimizing me, they are using the judicial system where they control it to try to get at me. And in this case, he will probably, he has working with him in terms of trying to make that argument, the fact that all of the members of the Colorado Supreme Court were appointed by Democratic governors.
And
so,
however,
so he will make it political, even if it is not entirely political. He will not make it about January 6th entirely. And that is something, interestingly, we haven't heard a lot from, and those supporting him on this, the Republicans who were supporting him, saying this is about not using the courts to decide who gets on the ballot. They haven't said a whole lot about the insurrectionist claims.
And just to following up on that point, yes, he will say that it's all political, and yes, the justices were all Democratic appointed, but it was a 4-3 decision. So 3 of those justices, including the Chief Justice of the Colorado Supreme Court, voted against using the 14th Amendment.